What's your name and what do you do?
My name is Jason Cohen. I'm the founder and CTO at WP Engine.
The CTO of WP Engine and the founder. So when did you make the transition from in charge of everything to in charge of technology?
Yeah, it was in late 2013. We were around 80 people or so when I changed from CEO to CTO and looked after R&D and product.
How was that transition different than you expected?
It's actually a lot better. The reason we did it in the first place is I'm a great CEO up until about 40 to 60 people, and then the job of what the CEO is changes. In fact, it changes all along. Like it even changes between, I don't know, the first time you have to have a manager because there's 12 people and not everyone knows what's going on, it changes. But especially there, you start getting into this category of having whole departments. So it's not just one layer of management, it's multiple layers, they have their own goals, and also it's really important to have incredible excellence in each of those areas. You can't just sort of wing support or sort of wing marketing at that scale. And so one of the things that the CEO has to do is hire amazing people in all of those areas, meaning more amazing than the CEO himself or herself in our case. So you're having to interview, hire, and manage people that know more and are better at each of those functional areas than you are, and yet you're the leader. Very strange. Also, in our case, we have an active board and investors and so on, so there's a lot of management of that. And so, for example, I'm great at building up the first, say, 5 salespeople, but a scalable global sales force and building up to, say, 80 salespeople, that's not me. Or same thing in support or anything. And so both what I'm excellent at and what I love to do is product and engineering. And so for me to be able to stay in the area that I'm best at, where I can still, sort of that intersection of serving the company, what the company needs, and what I'm excellent at, and what I enjoy, which everyone at any company should be trying to find that intersection. What is needed? What do you like? What are you good at? I was able to seek that. And it's great too, because the fact that the founder has the freedom and ability to even say, well, I don't even want to be the CEO. That's very powerful. And that gives, not that people need permission, but in effect, it sort of creates permission for other people to go, what do I want to do? What should my career look like? What do I think is next for me here? And is it okay for me to have that conversation and see if that's possible? And so it was actually empowering for everyone to go, oh, well, what do I want to do? So for example, we had managers who said, I don't like management. I just thought maybe this is the only way to make more money or get more responsibility or do something or grow. And of course, it's not true. Or at least it's not true in some companies. And so some people said, I don't even want to be a manager, actually. I want to go back to being an amazing individual contributor because I actually don't like that. But I still want to make more money, have more responsibility, have more say over things, be involved in things, see an impact, and all these other stuff. So I knew it was good for me because I had gone through this process of thinking about this and talking with different people about it. But what I didn't realize is how it would empower everyone else to do that. And that's been really amazing.
This is not your first rodeo as an entrepreneur, which is different than a lot of people in the WordPress space who are figuring it out as they go along. Yeah. And this is the first time. I'm sure you're still doing plenty of figuring out as it goes along. But what's a takeaway that's really stuck with you from your past startup experience that you've carried on to WP Engine?
It is always new. I think you have to have a beginner's mind and ask each time you start a new venture or even in the middle of one, and ask, what do I not know? Because the world changes, markets change, customers change, competitors change. So you can't believe that you have it figured out, right? There are a few things that you can just carry with you if they're mechanical, like how might you think about hiring, or when am I going to get insurance and how does that work? So there's a couple of mechanical things where, okay, maybe you could just carry that along, but those are not even the important things anyway, right? One learning for sure is the importance of culture, and this is now a very common thing to talk about, so maybe it's not interesting anymore to talk about, but we spend a lot of time asking, are we living our cultural values? Are we doing, which really happens when you have to make hard decisions. That's when you know what you really are. Sticking to that so that the company means something, and it stands for something, and everyone feels like they're part of something that's bigger than themselves that matters and that's important. I didn't do that in any of my previous companies, and so that doesn't mean they weren't a good place to work necessarily, but without that kind of guiding light, then the only thing you're left with is, I guess we're trying to grow, or I guess we're trying to make money, which is good, but it's sort of not enough. I think another thing that I learned is it is easy as entrepreneurs. So in the beginning, you're just trying not to die. You're just trying to get some customers and some revenue so that you can quit your day job or stop taking consulting work and just have the smallest sustainable company. And so it's just try to survive. And so if someone said, what are your big goals? What do you really want out of this? What's your 5-year plan? Like, all that is so stupid. Just like, I'm trying not to die. That's my goal. Yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna have for lunch tomorrow, much less, right? And that is true. Like that is the reality of the day. But what happens is people end up building companies that they don't like to be at themselves. And that is odd, because sort of the promise of entrepreneurship is, I'm building a life. And it doesn't matter if that means the Silicon Valley sort of life, or, I never want an employee, but I want to make maximum profit sort of a life, or anything in between. That's irrelevant. I mean, all of that is good. The whole point is, I get to pick. I get to try to build the thing that I want to live in. So it's ironic if you build a place you don't want to be at. And that happens to a lot of people. People don't admit it. It's sort of like, sometimes people have kids, and then they're never going to admit they actually changed their mind. They don't want kids. Yeah. A lot of people think that, but they're not going to admit it. In the same way, people aren't going to, especially if they're still running the company, say, I wish I wasn't here. So it's hard to get the truth of how many times that happens, but it happens a lot. A lot of times after people have exited a company, and you talk to them and you realize, wow, they were super unhappy. That is fixable. You don't have to build a company in which you're unhappy, but you will, with a decent likelihood, if you're not thinking about, well, what does it mean to build a company where I am happy? So I would say that is a lesson I learned at previous companies, because again, I didn't think about that. It was just how to live.
When you're in the CEO position and you're running the day-to-day, how do you even reflect on whether you're happy? Like, is it easy to get so caught up that you forget about those things?
Yeah, obviously it is, right? Also, most of the work is hard and probably not stuff you want to do. And that alone doesn't necessarily mean you're unhappy. So, it's very hard. On the other hand, as the CEO or founder, there's nobody else to prompt you, because there's no boss. And so you have to do that. So people use a variety of techniques. Some people are really into meditation because that helps you get into a mindset where you're observing sort of dispassionately how you feel about things. I think that's a good mechanism. Some people use CEO coaches, life coaches. I think 90% of those are probably charlatans, but the 10% that are not charlatans are amazing. Since it's hard to find one that actually knows what they're doing, another way that works well is get an entrepreneurial group. So in other words, you find 4 to 8 other entrepreneurs physically in your area. You don't want to do this over Skype, where you get together periodically, like every month, and you hold each other accountable in this way. That is, it's a safe space. Of course, things that you say aren't repeated, etc. And you can say things like, I'm just unhappy and I don't even know why, and have people who understand the experience and have nothing but your own interests in mind, because they have no other agenda. They're not investors or whatever. They don't even see themselves as quote-unquote mentors. They're just other people who understand. And that can be a great way to... Accountable maybe is a strong word, but not necessarily, because if you say, okay, I'm going to do this, it's like, great, next month you better have done that, because we're all going to be looking at you. So it is sort of like having a buddy to go work out with, right? It can be accountability. So those are a couple of techniques people use to cause that. I guess the last one I'd say is, if you are in the middle doing it and in that sort of crazy mind state, then you won't get any perspective. You won't be able to see that. And so a lot of people point out, the place where you get insight, whether that's an idea for a new product or some strategic thing or this, is when you set it down and you go out in nature or whatever's fun that's not work. And it's in your head, of course, your brain's still working on it, but you're not conscious about it. Then that's when things happen. And of course, you can't plan it, but you can plan to have that time that you can plan. So that doesn't guarantee that you will receive an insight during that time. But the thing about getting the big idea in the shower is exactly because you're not listening to a podcast and you're not working on something and doing email. You're having to do something else, and so inspiration can hit. You can plan on having time periods and things that are conducive to inspiration, and that can help. So that's another technique.
So you talked about how when you made the transition, kind of the ultimate management move of replacing yourself, and y'all are around 80 people. Now I think y'all are opening a new office that itself can handle more than 80 people.
That's true.
So what would you say, like, your takeaway is? Like, the purpose of WP Engine in terms of why you're in business? Is it about providing a product to the customer, or is it about the life you can create for all these employees? Like, what's the most rewarding component for you?
Yeah. So when I first started, I wanted to make money.
Yeah.
That was like,
I like the honesty.
Yeah, like that, right? And that's how I started the other companies. And in that way, they were successful. But as I just said, in other ways, they were not, right? Maybe more important ways. And whether it was because I'm older or because I had kids or because, I don't know, who knows why, but for whatever reason, that wasn't enough. And maybe it still is enough early. Maybe it doesn't have to be so grandiose every time. I don't know. But what is most fulfilling is what we do for the employees at WP Engine. We have over a third of our employees have no college education. That's rare in a tech company for that to be true. There's people who just don't have a lot of opportunity, who have the aptitude, but just the door's not open. And that is an incredible shame. And just to open the door, people still have to perform and walk through it and grow, right? There's no free lunch. But, well, actually we do have free lunch, but there's no, you have to perform, of course. But a lot of people never get the chance to prove or to work hard and do that. So to do that is amazing. And whether that's in Limerick, as you mentioned, the new office that we're open, which is true, because here's a town with one of the biggest universities. It's as big as the biggest universities in America. And, but kids come out of the school, there's no tech jobs. And so to have a place where that can start happening and we can start taking that there, that is really something. There's really three things. One is the employees, one is what we do for our customers, and this is true of the other managed WordPress hosts too, by the way, but marketers are victims when it comes to technology. They don't know whether the thing that the consultant's telling them is right or wrong. They can't do it themselves. Of course, it's Greek. Obviously, it'd be like you and me trying to interview a pancreatic surgeon. Like, don't know what to ask, right? And so it's the same. And so to provide something genuinely good so that they can be successful online is actually a big deal. And the things people say, you can see how it really affects them when they have an honest partner. And again, we're not unique in that, but it's a great thing to do. And then, so that's the second thing. And the third thing is our fifth value is committed to give back. So Warren Buffett has this great line, which is, the purpose of capitalism is to accumulate capital. So that's fine. That's fine. But the interesting question is, so what are you going to do with it? There it is. I could go on and on with all the stuff we do. There's a lot of stuff we do in Austin and the other places we are to give back. Of course, WordPress and sponsoring communities and contributing to core and all kinds of ways there. Doing that, saying like we have this, we're in this place where we can make our communities better, whether that be WordPress or local stuff or people's individual things. So we should. That's what it means to be successful, is to lift up everybody else. There's that saying, if the elevator takes you up, you send it back down, right? Like, how can you make everything better through the quote unquote success that you create? So that's really interesting. So there's really three things, and none of them is really, I guess, software. Although that's fun, right? Intellectually, that's really fun. And again, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with making money either. That is not wrong, but it's not a higher purpose. It's not, it's kind of so what? Like, okay, you do that, and of course, to manage day to day and to create a sustainable company, yeah, of course you have to focus on that. But why? It doesn't answer any of the why questions. And again, in previous companies, I didn't ask the why question either. But especially when the days are hard or something's difficult, and you ask, this is so difficult. and it's not why am I coming back tomorrow exactly. It's not quite that bad, right? But sort of saying like, this is so hard. Why is this even happening? That's the answer. And that's a pretty powerful thing. And it's powerful for our folks too. I remember there was this director of engineering that we hired, and one of the things she said is, one of the things that pushed me over the edge was what we do for other people in the company. Like if we do our job really well over here in engineering, part of what that means is we have 200 people in the support team who are getting all these opportunities to grow and even join the engineering team sometimes actually, and have careers. And she's like, I want to see that happen. I want to be a part of that. And that was for her even more exciting than containerizing the world or other intellectually interesting things. So it does help bind the whole company into something that's again larger than any one of us. And that sounds kind of mushy, but I guess answers to questions like what's it all about is going to by definition be mushy.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to transition this conversation from video to the Post-Status Draft podcast, and we're going to talk about the growth portion of this, whether it's your first employee or your first 100-person office overseas. But before we do that, for the people in video, how can they keep up with what you're doing and WP Engine in general? Sure.
Our website, of course, is wpengine.com. I'm at asmartbear on Twitter, and also asmartbear.com is the blog.
Great. Thanks so much.